Success in the 1970s was unstable. One week you were untouchable, owning radio, packing arenas. The next week the narrative flipped. Critics turned, audiences smirked, and credibility evaporated. Not because the music suddenly got worse, but because culture decided it was embarrassed to like you. These bands didn't slowly fall off. They were reclassified, from serious to silly, from respected to laughed at. Here are 10 bands from the 70s that became jokes in seconds. Number 10, Bay City Rollers.
Bye bye baby, baby, goodbye baby, bye bye.
For a brief moment, the Bay City Rollers had everything. Number 1 hits, sold-out arenas, uncontrollable fan hysteria. In 1976, Saturday Night hit the top of the Billboard Hot 100.
Sing it out in the sun, summer's here and we're gonna have fun.
Industry executives openly compared them to the Beatles. That comparison aged badly, fast, because perception arrived before the music did. The matching tartan outfits, the choreographed smiles, the screaming teenage fan base. To rock audiences trying to feel older, tougher, and more serious, this wasn't rebellion. It was infantilization.
For the neighbors out of nowhere, and nowhere is a name.
Critics dismissed the music as bubblegum, manufactured, disposable. The irony? The band could actually play. But credibility isn't about ability. It's about image timing. By the time punk energy began brewing and rock culture hardened,
One girl in town I'd marry, girl I'd marry, and now if I were
the Bay City Rollers had already been mentally filed away, not as musicians but as a phase. In the same year they were selling out arenas. An American poll voted them the worst band in the world.
bye bye baby, don't make me cry.
That's how fast it happened. They didn't fail commercially. They failed culturally. And once culture laughs at you, it never listens again. Number 9, The Osmonds.
Crazy horses will they never halt if they keep on moving, then it's
The Osmonds didn't lose credibility because they were bad. They lost it because they were too clean at the wrong moment. Perfect smiles, perfect harmonies, perfect television manners. In the early 1970s, that worked. One bad apple hit number 1. The record sold. The TV appearances multiplied. But rock culture was changing fast.
Bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch, girl.
Oh, give it one more.
Audiences weren't just listening to music anymore. They were using it to signal identity. And the Osmonds signaled something dangerous. Obedience. Their image felt pre-approved. Their emotions felt packaged. Their rebellion felt non-existent.
You just give me one little chance. One little chance. I give you love guarantee.
To critics and older fans, they didn't look like a band that discovered music. They looked like a band that had been approved by a committee. The irony was brutal. They had real talent. They could sing. They could harmonize. Some of them were genuinely strong musicians. None of it mattered. Once they became the safe alternative to rock, respect evaporated. Liking the Osmonds became socially risky if you cared about credibility. By the mid-70s, they were still selling millions and already being laughed at, not because the music failed, but because culture decided it was embarrassed to defend them.
Crazy horses, all got riders under you and I.
The Osmonds didn't crash. They were quietly rebranded, from hitmakers to punchline, in seconds. Number 8, Electric Light Orchestra.
West train to London. Just heading out.
At first, people didn't laugh. They were confused. Violins in rock music, cellos on pop radio, songs that sounded too finished. Jeff Lynne wanted to continue what the Beatles started: polished, melodic, ambitious pop. And technically, it worked. The hits were undeniable. The melodies stuck. The production was flawless.
Shining in the sky, there ain't a cloud in sight.
That perfection became the problem. Rock culture in the 70s worshipped authentic struggle. Missed notes, rough edges, the sound of humans barely holding it together. Hello sounded like none of that. They sounded engineered.
Don't bring me down. No, 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 no.
Every note felt planned. Every harmony calculated. Every second controlled. To critics, it didn't feel like a band playing. It felt like a project being assembled. The elaborate stage shows made it worse. Spaceships, lights, sci-fi imagery.
Really want tonight to last forever. I really wanna be with
Suddenly, the music wasn't rebellious. It was theatrical. And when ELO leaned closer to disco at the end of the decade, the verdict hardened. The band wasn't evolving, they were chasing acceptance. That's when the laughter started.
when you coming home. I can't go on.
Not because the songs were bad, but because rock audiences decided ELO was trying too hard to be impressive. In rock culture, that's fatal. ELO didn't lose popularity. They lost cool. And once your music feels smarter than the listener instead of Messier with them, respect collapses fast. Number 7, Kansas.
Once I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond.
The problem wasn't the song. It was where you heard it. Dust in the Wind was everywhere. Proms, dances, school assemblies, any moment that wanted to feel deep without risk.
Is it worth the time? Is it worth the price? Do you see yourself?
That ubiquity killed them. Kansas mixed progressive ambition with heartland sincerity. Violins, long arrangements, philosophical lyrics. On paper, it was serious music.
Masquerading as a man with a reason. My charade is the event of the season.
Culturally, it landed in no man's land. Too earnest for rebels, too complex for casual rock fans. The song's success turned meaning into cliché. The more it played, the less dangerous it felt. And once a song becomes a background for teenage reflection, credibility starts leaking out.
Masquerading as a man with a reason. My charade is the event of the season.
Kansas didn't become a joke because they lacked talent. They became a joke because their sincerity became public property. By the late 70s, liking Kansas didn't feel rebellious. It felt safe. And in rock culture, safety is the fastest way to lose respect. Number 6, REO Speedwagon.
Then I can't fight this feeling anymore.
REO Speedwagon didn't lose respect because they sold out. They lost it because they felt too sincere. They spent the 70s grinding, touring non-stop, playing real rock shows, building a real audience. Nothing fake about it.
I don't wanna sleep. I just wanna keep on loving you.
Then the ballads hit. Big choruses, open emotions, lyrics that meant exactly what they said. And that was the problem. As punk and new wave rose, rock culture shifted toward irony and detachment. Feelings were supposed to be hidden.
I believe it's time for me to fly.
Vulnerability was uncool. REO did the opposite. They leaned in. Suddenly, their music felt like emotional exposure in public. Powerful to fans, embarrassing to critics. Songs people loved in private but wouldn't defend out loud. REO Speedwagon became the definition of a guilty pleasure. Still successful, still selling out arenas, but quietly laughed at by anyone chasing credibility. They didn't lose their audience. They lost permission to be respected in seconds. Number 5, Foreigner. Foreigner's problem was efficiency. Everything worked too well. The songs were tight. The hooks were obvious. The choruses landed exactly where they were supposed to. Radio loved them. That's why critics didn't. Foreigner sounded like a band that understood the formula and followed it without hesitation.
Get around, you wanna fly, don't want your feet on the ground.
no sense of risk, just perfectly engineered rock designed to survive endless airplay. As punk and new wave pushed the idea that music should feel dangerous, Foreigner felt corporate by comparison. Not evil, not fake, just calculated.
I wanna know what love is.
Their biggest sin wasn't selling out. It was sounding like they planned to succeed. By the late 70s, Foreigner became shorthand for safe rock. Music you heard everywhere and defended nowhere. People sang along, then rolled their eyes.
Feels like the first time. Like it never.
They didn't disappear. They became background. And in rock culture, nothing kills credibility faster than being unavoidable and unchallenging at the same time. Number 4, Boston. Boston sounded too perfect. That was the crime. Every guitar tone was pristine. Every harmony locked in. Every chorus engineered to explode on cue. It was impressive and immediately suspicious. Rock culture prized sweat and struggle. Boston sounded like math. Songs built layer by layer in a basement studio, polished until nothing human showed through. Their debut album was a monster, one of the fastest selling in history. Radio couldn't stop playing it. And that saturation flipped perception. Instead of raw power, people heard calculation. Instead of passion, precision. Instead of rebellion, engineering. When punk arrived with cheap gear and rough edges, Boston became the opposite of cool overnight. Their music didn't feel lived in, it felt manufactured. They weren't mocked for being bad. They were mocked for being flawless. And in rock culture, perfection is often the fastest way to sound fake. Number 3, Journey.
Just a city boy, born and raised right here in Houston.
Journey didn't become a joke because of failure. They became a joke because the emotions were too obvious. Big choruses, soaring vocals, songs engineered for thousands of voices to sing at once.
This night, losing ground I'm reaching.
Once Steve Perry took the front, subtlety disappeared. The music told you exactly how to feel, when to rise, when to hold the note, when to believe. That clarity killed credibility. As punk and new wave prized restraint and irony, Journey felt theatrical.
Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it.
Earnest to the point of excess. Emotion without distance. The shift was instant. What fans experienced as catharsis, critics heard as manipulation. What arenas called unity, tastemakers called cheese. Journey didn't lose popularity. They lost permission to be taken seriously.
They say that the road ain't no place to start a family.
They became the sound of sincerity in an era that had decided sincerity was embarrassing. Number 2, Kiss.
I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving.
Kiss didn't lose credibility by accident. They challenged it directly. Makeup, fire, blood, explosions. Before anyone heard a note, critics had already made up their minds. Rock culture told itself that spectacle meant insecurity, that if you needed costumes, the music must be weak. Kiss rejected that idea completely and leaned into excess without apology. That confidence infuriated purists. To them, Kiss felt like rock stripped of pretense and rebuilt as entertainment. Characters instead of musicians. Branding instead of authenticity. The music became secondary to the visuals, and that was unforgivable. The mockery was relentless. Critics called them cartoons, a marketing machine pretending to be a band. Proof that rock had been corrupted by commerce. Kiss didn't argue back. They sold out arenas. They sold merchandise. They doubled down. In doing so, They crossed a line rock culture couldn't uncross. They didn't fail the credibility test. They opted out of it. And once you do that, you're never respected, only remembered. Number 1, Bee Gees.
How deep is your love? Is your love? How deep is your love?
No band fell faster, and no band fell harder. The Bee Gees didn't just succeed, they overwhelmed the culture. In 1977, Saturday Night Fever turned them into the biggest act on the planet. Radio couldn't escape them, charts bent around them. Their falsetto became the sound of an
Nobody gets too much heaven no more. It's much.
that triggered something darker. Rock fans didn't just get tired of disco, they felt threatened by it. Disco wasn't built on guitars, rebellion, or masculine angst. It was built on rhythm, dance floors, and communities rock culture didn't control. The Bee Gees became the face of that shift. Suddenly, their voices were shrill. Their clothes were ridiculous. Their success was illegitimate. None of this was about talent. Before disco, the Bee Gees were respected songwriters. Nina Simone recorded their songs. That history didn't matter anymore. Once disco backlash started, nuance disappeared. The Bee Gees weren't debated, they were blamed. Records were burned in public. Radio stations quietly stopped playing them.
How deep is your love? Is your love? How deep is your love?
The phrase "disco sucks" became a cultural rallying cry. In a matter of months, they went from untouchable icons to the most mocked band in popular music. Not because the music changed, but because the culture decided it needed a villain.
Nobody gets too much heaven no more. It's much.
Bee Gees didn't become a joke by failing. They became a joke by winning too completely and standing in the wrong place when the backlash hit. These bands didn't collapse because they lacked talent. They collapsed because culture changed its mind. In the 1970s, success moved faster than respect. You could dominate the charts and still lose credibility overnight. One shift in taste, one new movement, one label, sellout, fake, corporate, cheesy, and the narrative was locked. Some of these bands leaned into it. Some tried to escape it. A few never recovered. Looking back, the mockery says less about the music and more about the fear behind it. Fear of popularity, fear of sincerity, fear of anything that didn't fit the idea of what real music was supposed to be. Because history has a habit of doing this. Yesterday's joke becomes tomorrow's classic. And the bands that survived the laughter are still being listened to long after the critics moved on.